Have you ever looked up at the moon and felt its presence watching you back? That cold, pale glow, always there, always perfect, always in the same place in our sky. For most of us, the moon is just a companion, silent, familiar, harmless. But what if it isn't? What if the moon was never a part of Earth's story until something or someone placed it there? Tonight we step into a riddle older than history itself, a riddle that stretches across myths, mathematics, and the cold whispers of space. The moon's arrival is one of the greatest unsolved mysteries of our planet. Mainstream science tells us the moon was formed from the debris of a massive collision between a primordial Earth and a Mars-sized object known as Theia. It's a plausible theory, but it's not without its inconsistencies. The moon's orbit is almost perfectly circular, a rarity for a captured body. Its size is disproportionately large compared to Earth, making our planet-moon system a unique cosmic oddity. And then there's the rock itself. The moon's composition is so similar to Earth's that it suggests a common origin, yet its density is far lower, leading some scientists to conclude it must be hollow. These are not easy questions to answer with traditional astrophysics. This is where the whispers of ancient myths begin to sound less like folklore and more like historical records. Across many ancient civilizations, from the Greeks to the Incas, there are tales of a time before the moon, a time when the night sky was dark, unlit by our familiar silver orb. These myths describe the moon's sudden appearance, its arrival as a new and powerful force in the heavens. Could these stories be a collective memory of a time when Earth was without a moon and a massive object was carefully, deliberately placed into orbit? The very idea challenges everything we know about our cosmic neighborhood. It forces us to consider a reality where the moon's creation was not a chaotic natural event, but an act of cosmic engineering on a scale that defies our imagination. As we move beyond the scientific anomalies and into the realm of ancient history, we find a story that is not written in textbooks, but whispered in the sagas and prophecies of forgotten cultures. To the modern mind, the moon has always been there, a constant fixture in our heavens. But what if there was a time when the sky was truly empty at night? What if the stars were the only light, and the world below was a place fundamentally different from the one we know? Dive deeper into these legends, and the stories become not just more detailed, but more unsettling. The ancient Greek writer Plutarch, in his work De Phasia and Orbe Lunae, spoke of the Arcadians, a people who inhabited the mountainous regions of Greece. He writes of them with an almost reverential tone, noting their claims to a lineage so ancient that they existed before there was a moon in the heavens. This is a staggering claim, one that challenges the very timeline of our planet's history. It suggests a time not in some distant mythological past, but in the memory of a real historical people, when the night sky was dark, unlit by our familiar silver orb. This isn't an isolated anecdote from a single eccentric culture. This is a global chorus of ancient voices, all echoing a similar impossible event. The Sand People of the Kalahari Desert in Africa, known for their deep connection to the stars and the land, have legends that speak of a time when the moon was made and placed in the sky. Their stories describe the arrival of a great bright object that forever changed the rhythm of their world. In the ancient South American Andes, the mythology of the Kogi people of Colombia, a civilization that has maintained its traditions for centuries, contains a similar narrative. Their cosmic history includes a period before the moon, a time when the Earth's energies were unstable and a powerful cosmic entity, often represented as a divine being, brought the moon into orbit to stabilize and balance the world. These are not just charming fables, they are a collective memory passed down through countless generations across continents separated by vast oceans. The very existence of such a shared narrative in cultures that had no contact with one another suggests a shared experience, a memory of a time when the moon arrived. What if this arrival wasn't the slow, chaotic formation from a collision, but the precise, controlled insertion of an artificial satellite into orbit? The level of cosmic engineering required for such a feat is incomprehensible to our modern minds, but it is precisely what the legends describe. The evidence for deliberate placement is right there, staring down at us every night. The most profound and improbable piece of evidence is the phenomenon of the perfect solar eclipse. The moon's size and its distance from Earth are so perfectly calibrated that, from our perspective, it appears to be the exact same size as the sun. During a total solar eclipse, the moon perfectly blocks out the sun's bright corona, allowing us to see its fiery outer atmosphere. The odds of this occurring in a natural random celestial system are astronomical, so improbable that they are almost incalculable. This near-perfect alignment is not a coincidence. It is the signature of a deliberate design. It is a cosmic fingerprint left behind by the architects of this colossal structure. The moon may have been placed in this precise orbit, at this exact distance, not just to stabilize Earth's tides and climate, but as a monument, a kind of cosmic clock that for millennia has been telling us a story we haven't been able to read. What if the moon was a beacon, a shining monument to a civilization so advanced they could move celestial bodies at will, or a massive ark transporting a dying civilization to a new world? The myths don't provide all the answers, but they offer a tantalizing glimpse into a world that was fundamentally different from our own. A world where the night sky was truly dark until a new light appeared, forever changing our planet's rhythm, its tides, and perhaps its destiny. It's a humbling thought that our celestial companion may not be a simple rock, but a silent observer, a celestial time capsule, a monument to a race that was here long before us, and a reminder that our place in the universe is far from what we have been led to believe. The stories of a time before the moon are not just ancient myths. They are the first chapters of a history that has been hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to be ready to read it. As we move from the realm of ancient legend to the hard data of modern science, we find that the whispers of a hollow artificial moon are not just the stuff of myth. They are supported by some of the most compelling and baffling evidence ever collected by NASA. At the heart of this scientific mystery lies the hollow moon theory, a hypothesis so radical it challenges the fundamental principles of astrophysics. The cornerstone of this theory comes from the Apollo missions, a golden age of space exploration that, in its pursuit of knowledge, stumbled upon an anomaly that has never been fully explained. The plan was simple. The astronauts would land on the moon, set up a network of seismometers, and then deliberately crash the ascent stage of their lunar module onto the surface. The resulting impact would send seismic waves through the moon's interior, allowing scientists to create a kind of sonic map of its structure, much like an ultrasound. On November 20, 1969, the Apollo 12 crew executed this plan flawlessly. They crashed their lunar module stage with a force equivalent to a ton of TNT. What happened next sent shockwaves through the scientific community. Instead of the dull, brief tremor one would expect from a solid rock body, the moon began to ring. The seismic sensors picked up a powerful reverberation that continued for nearly an hour. The sound waves did not dissipate as they would in a solid object. They traveled through the lunar interior as if they were bouncing off the inside of a massive hollow sphere. The analogy was famously made by a NASA scientist who described the moon ringing like a bell. This wasn't the one-off event, it was repeated with even more dramatic results. Facing a catastrophic in-flight emergency on the Apollo 13 mission, the crew was forced to jettison their SIVB third stage onto the moon with an even greater impact. The moon's response was even more spectacular. The reverberations were so intense that the seismic sensors registered them for more than 3 hours, creating a powerful resonance that baffled mission control. The data was so bizarre that scientists struggled to find a conventional geological explanation. The only way to account for the way the sound waves behaved was if they were traveling through a vast empty space. This seismic data, combined with a number of other scientific puzzles, forms the backbone of the hollow moon theory. For example, the moon's anomalously low density. The moon is disproportionately large compared to Earth, yet its mass is far less than it should be if it were a solid body of rock and iron. It is less dense than the Earth's crust, suggesting that its core is either extremely small or that it is in fact a hollow or partially hollow structure. The only way a hollow sphere of this magnitude could maintain its shape and not collapse under its own gravity is if it was made of an incredibly strong, super dense material. The implication of all this is absolutely staggering. A celestial body of this size cannot form naturally with a vast empty space at its core. The laws of celestial mechanics and gravitational formation dictate that such a body would collapse in on itself, forming a solid, dense core. Therefore, if the moon is indeed hollow, it must be artificial. It would have to be a monumental shell, a colossal sphere constructed from a material of incredible strength, designed to withstand the crushing forces of space. This theory aligns perfectly with the ancient myths we just explored and the idea of a pre-lunar Earth. It transforms a geological anomaly into an act of cosmic engineering on a scale that defies our imagination. The moon would not be a natural satellite, but a celestial monument, a perfectly crafted artifact placed in our orbit by a long-lost intelligence for reasons we are only beginning to comprehend. The Apollo missions, in their quest to understand our closest neighbor, may have inadvertently discovered the greatest secret of all, that the moon is not a random object in our sky, but a deliberately placed structure, a hollow sphere with secrets hidden in its vast, echoing interior. In the wake of the Apollo missions, the world celebrated a triumph of human ingenuity and exploration. We put a man on the moon, a feat that had been a dream for millennia. But as the parades faded and the celebratory champagne went flat, a new, more unsettling narrative began to emerge from the classified mission logs, the scientific reports, and the personal accounts of the astronauts themselves. The Apollo missions, in their quest for answers, had not only found a barren rock, but had opened a Pandora's box of questions that defied conventional explanation. What did NASA really find on the moon? The seismic data was just the beginning. The astronauts brought back 382 kilograms of lunar samples, a scientific treasure trove that should have definitively answered the questions about the moon's origin. But instead, the rocks presented a series of bizarre and inexplicable puzzles. Analysis of the lunar regolith, the fine dust that covers the moon's surface, revealed traces of processed metals and alloys that are not found together in nature. Scientists were baffled to find microscopic particles of brass, mica, and even titanium, often in strange ratios. While these materials can be found on Earth, their presence on the moon in these forms suggested a level of refinement and processing that could not be explained by natural geological processes. It was as if someone had been melting, forging, and shaping these materials on the lunar surface. Furthermore, the isotopes of certain elements in the lunar soil were completely different from what was expected. The ratio of potassium 40, uranium 238, and thorium 232, for example, was drastically different from the ratios found in Earth rocks. This strongly suggested that the moon's chemical composition was not natural, and that it had undergone some form of cosmic scale chemical engineering. It begged a far more terrifying question. Were these rocks naturally formed, or were they the byproduct of a long-lost massive-scale industrial operation? Were the lunar rocks not just rocks, but the very waste materials of a cosmic construction project? Beyond the hard science, the personal accounts of the astronauts from the missions contain an eerie and chilling consistency. They spoke of strange lights and flashes on the surface, phenomena that NASA officially classifies as transient lunar phenomena, or TLPs. But the astronauts' descriptions were far more detailed. They spoke of brilliant lights that seemed to move with intelligence, appearing and disappearing in perfect geometric patterns. They saw what looked like flashes of light coming from inside craters, as if something were being activated or deactivated deep within the lunar crust. The photographic evidence is even more compelling. Researchers, poring over the thousands of photographs taken by the astronauts, many of which were initially classified, have identified what they believe are clear signs of artificiality. There are photos showing perfectly straight lines that stretch for miles across the lunar surface, giant depressions that look like mining craters, and even what some have interpreted as exhaust vents or antennae. One of the most famous and debated photographs shows a perfect spire-like shadow, which has been dubbed the lunar monolith, rising from the surface in a way that defies any known geological formation. NASA's official stance, of course, is that these are all natural geological formations. The straight lines are optical illusions created by shadows and light. The lights are caused by gas emissions from meteor impacts. The monolith is just an oddly shaped rock, but a deeper look at the raw data and the sheer volume of these anomalies makes this explanation seem less like a scientific conclusion and more like a carefully crafted script. The fact that many of the most controversial photos, along with specific mission logs, were either classified or have been scrubbed from public view only adds fuel to the fire. It suggests that there is something to hide, something that the government does not want the public to know. It begs the most chilling question of all. Did the Apollo astronauts discover that the moon was not a barren rock, but a vast uninhabited base, a relic of an ancient civilization? Or, even more chillingly, did they find that it was still in use? The fear that the moon might not be a desolate and lifeless place, but a kind of cosmic watchtower, may have been the real reason for the end of the Apollo missions. The rapid cancellation of the lunar program, the pivot to the space shuttle, and the almost complete abandonment of manned lunar exploration for decades seems inexplicable from a scientific standpoint. But if the astronauts found that the moon was a monument built by an intelligence far beyond our own, and that it was still in operation, the decision to halt exploration makes perfect sense. We would have been told to stop probing, to stop looking, and to not disturb the silent, watchful sentinel in the sky. The Apollo missions may have been a triumph of human achievement, but they may have also been the moment when we discovered that we are not alone and that our closest neighbor is a far more complex and mysterious place than we could ever have imagined. I will now expand on the mystery of the moon is not confined to the Apollo missions or the ancient past. For centuries, long before the first telescope was invented, humanity has observed a wide array of peculiar events on the lunar surface. These sightings, often dismissed as folklore or optical illusions, are so widespread and consistent that they form a historical record of their own. Astronomers and amateur stargazers have reported unexplained lights and strange shadows that appear and disappear without warning. These phenomena are officially labeled as transient lunar phenomena, or TLPs, but their scientific explanation, gas emissions, or small meteoroid impacts, is often a flimsy veil over something far more complex and compelling. The eyewitness accounts are particularly chilling. Respected astronomers from the 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries have recorded in their meticulous notes the sighting of brilliant moving flashes of light. They've described what looked like pulsating orbs traveling across the lunar terrain, and even perfect geometric patterns appearing and disappearing from crater floors. In 1821, a British astronomer named John Herschel reported seeing three bright spots on the moon that seemed to move. In 1869, the British Royal Astronomical Society published an account of a brilliant light observed in the crater Plato. These are not isolated incidents. They are a continuous stream of observations from the most qualified and sober-minded individuals, suggesting that the moon is not as dormant as we are led to believe. But the most compelling evidence for alien structures on the moon comes from the modern era, particularly from the photographs and telemetry data gathered by NASA's own missions. As researchers pore over old NASA photographs with modern imaging software, they have identified what they believe are clear signs of artificiality structures that defy natural geological formation. There are photos showing perfectly geometric shapes that resemble massive domes or pyramids. There are towering, spire-like structures that cast long, unnatural shadows, and even what appear to be massive symmetrical structures carved into the lunar terrain itself. The famous obelisk on the moon's surface is one of the most compelling of these anomalies. This towering, perfectly formed shadow, located in the vicinity of the crater Messier, is not a trick of the light. Its perfect shape and the way it casts a long shadow suggests a massive, symmetrical structure that is a clear deviation from the random, irregular forms of the natural lunar landscape. Is it a colossal monument? A forgotten relic of an ancient civilization? Or is it something more, a kind of antenna or beacon that is still in operation? The fact that it exists at all, in a place that should be a chaotic landscape of impact craters and volcanic rock, is a profound statement on its own. The idea that these structures are not natural is supported by their peculiar locations. They often appear in areas that are not geologically active, far from any known volcanic or seismic fault lines. Their perfect symmetry seems to defy the randomness of cosmic impacts and the chaos of natural geological processes. If they are indeed artificial, it means that the moon's true purpose is not just a mystery of the distant past, but a present reality that is hidden from us in plain sight. What are these structures? Are they the remnants of a long-abandoned city, a long-lost base, a cosmic graveyard of a forgotten race? Or are they still in operation, lying dormant until a particular signal or event activates them? The consistent reports of strange lights and the photographic evidence of unnatural structures strongly suggest that the moon is not just a hollow shell, but a vast, uninhabited base. It could be a kind of long dormant outpost, a station built by an intelligence that has been watching us for millennia. The possibility is unsettling. It forces us to confront the idea that the moon is not just a celestial body, but a piece of technology, a gigantic monument with a hidden purpose. The strange lights and alien structures are not just curiosities, they are a call to action, an invitation to look past the official narrative and to accept the possibility that our closest neighbor is not a cold, dead rock, but a living mystery, a silent observer that holds the key to our own origins and our place in the universe. If all the preceding evidence, the ancient myths, the baffling seismic data, the strange geological anomalies compels us to accept the possibility that the moon is an artificial structure, then we are left with the most profound and unsettling question of all. What is its purpose? This is where the story shifts from a mere scientific inquiry to a philosophical and existential one. A popular and deeply unsettling theory, one whispered in the halls of classified research and on the fringes of academic discourse, is that the moon is a colossal orbital surveillance device. It is a cosmic monitoring station, a silent, watchful sentinel placed in the heavens for a purpose we may not want to understand. The most compelling piece of evidence for this theory lies in a simple, observable fact. The moon is tidally locked with Earth. This means that it rotates on its axis at the exact same rate at which it orbits our planet. As a result, we only ever see one side of the moon. To the layperson, this is a beautiful cosmic coincidence. To a physicist, it is an astronomical improbability that suggests a deliberate design for a natural celestial body to achieve and maintain such a perfectly synchronized orbit is so unlikely as to be considered a cosmic anomaly. What if the hidden dark side of the moon is not a mystery, but a shield, a place where the true operations of this celestial body take place, hidden from the eyes of humanity? It would be a perfect cloak, a vast, unobservable command center where the true purpose of the moon is carried out in secret. Furthermore, the moon's orbit is not just tightly locked, it is perfect in other ways as well. It is positioned at the exact distance and has the exact size to enable a total solar eclipse, where it perfectly covers the face of the sun. This is not a random act of celestial mechanics. It suggests a programmed trajectory, a predetermined path set into place by a superintelligence. This perfect orbit ensures that the moon's gravitational influence on Earth's tides and climate remains stable and predictable, creating the ideal conditions for life to develop and evolve. Was this a happy accident, a cosmic roll of the dice that just happened to work out in our favor? Or was it a carefully orchestrated plan? The idea of the moon as a celestial gardener is a less cynical but no less profound interpretation. What if the moon was placed here by a benevolent intelligence to nurture life on Earth? Its consistent influence on our planet's axial tilt has been crucial for the development of stable seasons and a habitable climate. Without the moon, Earth would wobble on its axis, leading to extreme and unpredictable weather patterns that would make the development of complex life impossible. In this light, the moon is not a cage, but a cradle, a cold, desolate object placed in our sky to contain us, to prevent our society from developing too quickly, or from reaching a state of technological advancement that might threaten the cosmic order. This leads us to a far more chilling possibility. What if the moon is not a gentle gardener but a strict warden, a cold and desolate object placed in our sky to serve as a prison, a cage designed to contain us and prevent our society from developing too quickly or from reaching a state of technological advancement that might threaten the cosmic order? This theory suggests that humanity is being quarantined. Perhaps our ancestors were a violent, unruly race who were placed on a beautiful blue planet with a perfect cosmic warden to ensure that we did not leave our solar system and cause chaos. The moon would be the ultimate form of population control, a giant looming reminder that we are being watched, and that our technological and spiritual development is being carefully managed. This is the ultimate surveillance device. Not just a camera or a satellite, but an entire celestial body, a silent observer that is not just watching us, but actively influencing our lives in ways we have yet to understand. The strange lights on the surface could be signs of activity within the station. The strange structures and the seismic anomalies could be the signs of its inner workings, its vast machinery humming along, carrying out its purpose. The idea that the moon is a monitoring station forces us to re examine our place in the universe. It suggests that we are not alone, and that our closest neighbor is not a friend, but a silent observer, a celestial monument that is not just watching us, but actively influencing our lives in ways we have yet to understand. This is not just a scientific theory, it is a fundamental shift in our understanding of reality. It challenges the very notion of our free will, our technological progress, and our place in the cosmos. It suggests that our history has been shaped not just by human hands, but by the cold, deliberate, and silent influence of a celestial artifact that is both our closest neighbor and our ultimate jailer. As we have journeyed through the unsettling scientific data and the haunting whispers of ancient myths, a new and profoundly human question emerges from the shadows. The evidence for an artificial moon is compelling, but who were the architects? Our minds immediately jump to distant extraterrestrial intelligences, to beings from another star system. But what if the answer is far closer to home? What if the builders of this celestial monument were not aliens, but a lost, highly advanced human civilization that existed on Earth millions of years ago? A society so technologically superior that its existence has been relegated to the realm of myth and legend. This is where the mysteries of the moon find their most powerful connection to the many global legends of lost continents, mythical civilizations, and forgotten technologies. Across the world, from Plato's accounts of Atlantis to the Hindu epics that speak of the lost continent of Lemuria, there is a consistent narrative of a great human civilization that was destroyed in a global cataclysm, a flood, a pole shift, or a cosmic disaster that wiped out nearly all traces of their existence. What if the moon's secrets are directly tied to this event? What if the moon was built by the inhabitants of Atlantis, or Lemuria, or some other legendary civilization that foresaw its own demise and created this colossal structure as a last resort? This theory elegantly explains the most persistent scientific puzzle about the moon, the striking similarities in its composition to Earth's. Mainstream science struggles to explain how a celestial body with a different origin could have such a similar chemical fingerprint to our planet's mantle. But if the moon was built from the very materials of Earth's crust and oceans, or from an ancient proto-Earth, then the similarities would make perfect sense. It would mean that the builders were not from a distant star system, but were our own distant ancestors. The moon, in this light, would not be an alien artifact. It would be our own creation, a planetary ark built by a civilization that knew its time was running out. Imagine the scenario: a highly advanced human civilization facing an impending cosmic event, a meteorite impact, a solar flare, or a pole shift that they knew would sterilize the planet. In a final desperate act, they used their mastery of technology to construct a massive, hollow sphere in Earth's orbit. They would have used vast machines to hollow out the Earth's crust, using the molten core to power their operation, and then constructed a durable shell from the mined materials. The moon would serve as a lifeboat, a kind of Noah's Ark in the stars, designed to preserve their knowledge, their technology, and perhaps a select few of their people to serve as the guardians of humanity's true history. The stories of the moon's arrival could be the collective memory of this ancient catastrophe, a time when our own ancestors or their rivals built a magnificent monument in the sky before their world was destroyed. The remnants of this forgotten technology would be the very anomalies we have been discussing: the perfect orbit, the tidal lock, the strange seismic data, the geometric structures, and the processed metals. All of these would be the signature of a civilization that was not just advanced, but was a master of cosmic engineering. They would have built the moon not just as a sanctuary, but as a time capsule, a celestial repository for the most valuable knowledge of their age. The moon's surface would be covered with artifacts and monuments like the so-called obelisk that are not just random rocks, but markers and signposts placed there to guide a future humanity to the secrets hidden within. The secrets of the moon, in this sense, are a mirror to our own hidden history. They are a reflection of a time when we were far more advanced than we are today, before we were cast back to a primordial state, forced to start our civilization all over again. The moon is a testament to the rise and fall of our own distant ancestors, a silent, watchful reminder of what we once were and what we might one day become again. This theory offers a new lens through which to view our place in the universe. It suggests that our destiny is not to discover aliens in some distant star system, but to rediscover our own past, to unlock the secrets of our own civilization's rise and fall. The moon is not a distant alien world, it is our own history, floating just within our reach, waiting for us to be wise enough to look at it not as a rock, but as a monument to our own forgotten glory. It is a story of human ingenuity, of a monumental effort to survive, and of a secret that has been waiting to be rediscovered, a secret that could change our understanding of our own history forever. We have journeyed through the annals of history, from the myths of ancient civilizations to the hard data of modern space exploration. We have explored the possibility that our closest celestial neighbor is not a natural object, but a colossal artificial structure. We have delved into the unsettling scientific evidence, the inexplicable seismic data, and the bizarre eyewitness accounts of astronauts. And we have grappled with the most profound question of all: who built this celestial monument and for what purpose? Now, as we stand at the end of our journey, we are left with a single, undeniable conclusion. The moon is more than just a celestial body. It is a living mystery that has followed humanity since the dawn of time. From the haunting legends of a pre-lunar Earth to the tantalizing seismic echoes of a hollow moon, the evidence for an artificial origin is too compelling to be dismissed entirely. Whether it was placed in our sky by a distant extraterrestrial intelligence, a long-lost human civilization, or some other being we cannot even comprehend, the possibility remains that our closest neighbor is not a random object, but a colossal monument, a silent observer, a cosmic time capsule. This journey has been a testament to the power of curiosity and the courage to question the established narrative. It is a reminder that the truth is not always found in textbooks or official reports. It is often found in the strange, the anomalous, and the unexplained. The evidence for an artificial moon is a tapestry woven from threads of history, science, and a deep-seated human instinct that tells us there is more to the universe than meets the eye. The perfect solar eclipse, the tidally locked orbit, the strange structures, and the inexplicable seismic ringing, these are not coincidences. They are clues left behind by a cosmic intelligence, waiting for us to be wise enough to decipher their meaning. So, as you look up tonight, let go of everything you thought you knew about the moon. Forget the nursery rhymes and the simple scientific explanations. Consider the possibility that silvery orb is not a lifeless rock, but a testament to a forbidden history, a celestial monument that is not just a part of our past, but an active participant in our present and our future. What if the moon is a key to unlocking our own lost origins, a mirror reflecting a version of humanity that was far more advanced than we are today? What if its purpose is to watch, to guide, to nurture, or even to contain us? The story of the moon is a story of cosmic engineering, of unimaginable scale and purpose. It is a story that forces us to re examine our place in the universe, to ask if we are truly alone, and to wonder if we have been a part of a grander plan all along. The truth is out there, waiting for those who dare to look beyond the surface, to question the answers they have been given, and to embrace the possibility that the greatest secrets are often hidden in the most obvious places. The moon is not just a mystery, it is a profound and humbling invitation to a deeper understanding of our own existence. It is a silent sentinel, a celestial monument, and a constant reminder that the universe is far stranger and more wonderful than we can possibly imagine.